Brian Heinz has lost 100 pounds in 6 months by eating one meal a day. Brian, thank you for being here. Why don't you give everybody an introduction? Who are you and what do you do?
Well, my name is Brian Heinz, and I'm 56 years old. I've been married for 34 years. I have no children, but I have a wonderful, lovely wife. I've got decades of experience work-wise in the construction industry, building homes and things like that. I was self-employed in that same area of work for quite a few years. And then in 2008, I accepted employment with a very large telecommunications company. And that's when the issues with the weight really dug in and took root, I think.
Right. So, give us a rundown of how you're finding success with weight loss. Like, how much have you lost and how long has it taken?
Well, I started my program, and I'm on the OMAD program. I
Mhm.
started that on January 7th of this year. And on July 7th, which was exactly 6 months, I lost a total of 111 pounds.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, I never thought, because I I knew I had to do something, and a friend of mine was trying to get me to play this sport called pickleball, which I'd never even heard of before. But I guess it's a raging thing. It's sweep of the nation, that type of thing. And I said, well, before I get on a court and play anything like that, I said, man, I got to do something about my weight. And he said, well, you ought to look into intermittent fasting and those type of things. And as soon as he said the word fasting, in my mind, I said, as soon as you take a breath, I'm going to shut you down right there because you know me. I've tried other things. Fasting and me are not in the same world. But the more he talked, the more it made sense. And he started talking about not only weight loss benefits, but other benefits just for your overall health. So, and he encouraged me, go do some research. He said, jump on YouTube. There's a ton of information on there, which I did. I went home that day and I came across a website or a YouTube channel called something like 6 Miles to Supper. And I said, you have got to be. I saw all these wonderful interviews that you've done, Jim Caldwell and Joe, I can't remember his name.
Coleman.
Yeah, he does OMAD Revolution and all these other individuals. And I started to look at information from Dr. Jason Fung and Dr. Berg and all these different individuals to make sure that this was something that wasn't going to hurt me at all physically.
Right.
And I decided I'm gonna start this. And I started it actually the next day.
Wow. So you went straight to OMAD, is that right?
Yeah, well, what I did was he started talking about intermittent fasting and the different programs, the 16/8 and the OMAD, and he talked about extended fast. So when I was considering all the information on your site and other sites, I said, I think I'm going to try the OMAD. I'm going to give it a try. I'll try anything.
Right.
So the first thing I did, though, I said, I'm going to go 16/8 because all these, different interviews and different individuals said, man, if you can just get through the first 2 weeks, you've got it 2 or 3 weeks, then your body
Right.
kind of adjusts. I said, okay. And I kind of had a negative attitude. I said, this isn't going to work. So I did the 16/8. So I told my wife, because I went into work very early, and I said, don't pack me anything for breakfast today. Just do lunch, and I'll do lunch and dinner. So I did that for a first week, and I weigh myself once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Is all I do. So I weigh myself on Sunday mornings. So actually on Monday morning before I went to work, I weighed myself. So that following Sunday, I weighed myself and I had lost 7 pounds.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I said, man, you got to be kidding me. And I was, the two meals that I was eating, I wasn't eating bean sprouts all day long. I was eating normal meals.
Right.
And then I said, you know what? I didn't have that terrible agony and the hunger and everything else. So I said, you know what? I'm going to jump right to OMAD. So the next Monday I said, don't pack me a lunch now. I'm going to go. And that's what I did. And the next week I lost 8 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Now, it almost sounded too good to be true. And I said, well, a lot of this is water weight. It's the first couple of weeks and this and that. And it did level off after that.
Right.
And I never did have that 2 week agony period or anything like that. It really, for me, wasn't all that bad. And like I said, I was eating breaded pork chops, fried chicken, mashed potatoes. But then this whole time I'm doing more research. I'm listening to more interviews, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to just try to just, in addition to reducing everything to one meal, and I do basically a 23-1. I
Right.
eat everything. It's definitely less than an hour of eating window.
Right.
And I said, I'm going to do some more research, and I realized that this, not like we mentioned earlier, not only is it a weight loss situation, which is the main reason I jumped into it, it helps with things like diabetes and high blood pressure. And I think I must have been fortunate because I never had any physical problems. I never had any heart pains or chest pains or shortness of breath, or my knees didn't ache all the time. But I knew I must have been, my blood probably wasn't right. I never went to the doctor a lot. It's probably one of those things, what I don't know doesn't hurt me, which is not right. But
Right.
I I said I probably have plaque buildup in my veins and all these other things. And then I started to learn about autophagy and these other wonderful things that take place. And so I mean I know for a fact I'm my body is just cleansing itself from the inside out, because I tell you, Kayla, when I started this journey on January 7th, I jumped on the scale. I was 372 pounds,
Wow.
and I'm about 6'1", 6'1.5", something like that. I haven't measured my height in a long time, and that's pretty depressing when you see that. And I said, my goodness, because I probably hadn't weighed myself for months. A lot of people have probably gone through that. And initially, I kind of had a goal, and I guess I still do. But after learning all the things, I'm just gonna go until my body decides my comfortable weight, or my
Right.
normal weight, or whatever you call it.
Right.
So my goal was to get down to 199, which would be 173 pounds lost. And then according to the weight charts that are out there, that still puts me at the higher end of normal range.
Right. Right.
But at 372, I was clinically defined as morbidly obese, and that's kind of a hard pill to swallow. But um, I never thought I'd lose 111 pounds in 6 months.
Right.
I kind of feel, I don't want to tout that too much, because I know some individuals, you know, it doesn't go that quickly for a lot of
Right.
people. And I haven't worked out one time, but I walk a lot. And another thing, where did I get this? Something about 6 miles to supper. Walk a lot, and I realized you got to move. You got to keep on moving. And now I'm getting into bike riding and hiking and these other sports. I've tried the pickleball, and I'm probably I want to start doing some resistance training, because that's just good for your overall health and everything. So, but when I started to, because I probably averaged, I don't know, I guess it's been, if you divide that out, 4 pounds a week or 4.5 pounds something. But I did throw in the mix in the last 2 months. I did have two extended. I did an 8-day water fast, and then I did a 10-day water fast.
Right.
And then I did a ton of research on that, because if you don't take in electrolytes and certain nutrients, you can kind of a little bit sketchy there.
Right. Right.
And I didn't really have a hard time staying motivated. I would always jump back on your channel and just listen to some of these interviews and listen to your live stuff. I even asked a couple questions or two on your live shows, and I am resolved to, this is a life change, not just something I'm doing for a temporary basis, because I lost right before I started with that telecommunications company. Just before I started, I lost 106 pounds back in 2007/2008. And it was on a totally different program. It was one of those things where you have 5 meals a day and all this false information that I was buying into. And I was pretty successful with that. But it took me, and here's the thing, I lost 106 pounds. It took me 10 months to do that. And along the way, I was working out like an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
Like 5 days a week. Plus, I was walking 3 or 4 miles. I was killing myself. And looking back, that's not sustainable, at least for my schedule. So, I'm just I feel, and the other day we were at a large picnic, and it happened to be during my extended water fast.
Mhm.
And I stood there right by the guys barbecuing and watching all that food, and I didn't really have a problem. So I'm just
Uh,
excited about the whole thing.
right. So when you before you said you had lost that weight, in an unsustainable way, did you find that you just fell back into old habits, and that's what happened with the weight
Yes.
regain?
Yeah, I had a goal with that one, and that was to get down to 210 pounds.
Mhm.
And I made it, and it was crazy. Almost from the day I made that goal, I think I started to climb back up. It was almost like, hey, I made one
Uh,
to celebrate or something. And I know before I started with that company, I started in August,
mhm.
and beforehand I had to take a physical and get weighed and everything. And I think I weighed like 240 something
Uh-huh.
August,
Yeah.
and I reached my goal, I think in January or March. So just in a few months, I'd already put back on 20 or 30 pounds, and
Uh-huh.
just every week, every month, another couple pounds here and there. So I
Mhm.
gained back the 106 I lost,
Mhm.
plus another 60 I put
Oh,
on.
wow.
So it's it's one of those things where you just kind of don't admit it to yourself.
Right.
I found I didn't even really look at myself in the mirror. I looked at
Mhm.
myself to, make sure I didn't have any, but I didn't really look at my body because I didn't like
Right.
what I saw.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
56, I think if we were all honest, when we're in our 20s and we want to
Mhm.
lose weight, it's pretty much a vanity thing. It's all looks.
Right.
There's a certain amount of that, I'll be honest, but it's for health too. It's to I don't want to die. I want
Right.
to, so I'm just super, super excited about this whole fasting situation I'm in.
So, as far as your daily routine, so you're doing OMAD. Are you doing it every single day, or do you have a day off any time, or
Well,
and are you exercising every day?
yeah, well, again, I haven't exercised one time in 6 months as far as weightlifting and things like that, but I do walk a lot.
Right.
I,
Okay. All right.
like I'll take my, a dog for a walk, and we'll do a brisk walk.
Mhm.
So, and now I'm to the point where I'm going to want to start throwing in some weight resistance and things like that. But I do the OMAD 7 days a week, but usually on Sunday, we have a, call it what you want, break day, cheat day, but I still do OMAD. I don't,
Okay.
I don't eat, a whole bunch of other stuff, but we'll have, pizza and wings and, all the good stuff. But what's beautiful about the fasting thing is you don't have to, because I'm not doing the keto, full blown keto at all. But I am
Right.
watching carbs, and I've cut out a lot of sugar and things like that because, again, finding out what that stuff does to you. But with my wife is doing the 16-8, by the way, and she's
Oh,
lost like 55 pounds.
oh wow.
And but on Sunday we kind of, have a little bit of fun if we go and have some ice cream or, load up the coffee with some goodness in there. That's great because I know I can go right back to it. And if I go
Right.
on vacation or you go to a wedding, you enjoy yourself, but you go right back to what you want, what you need to do, and that's what I'm going to do. So I think it's just the best thing I've ever stumbled on.
That's awesome. So, as far as your weight, I know you said that the last job when you really, when you went from construction over to this telecommunications job, that's when the weight really started to come on fast. But before that, did you have any kind of challenges with your weight?
Yeah, I did because, well, before that, I got up to 316 pounds, even when
Mm-hmm.
I was doing like construction related
Mm-hmm.
things. And at that point, I was actually doing I was on my feet quite a bit, but my diet was terrible. I probably just totally twisted my metabolism in knots. And the thing with me, in fact, I jokingly tell people I've been on OMAD all my life. Starts at 6 in the morning and ends at 10 at night. And I just ate the whole time. And that's basically what I was doing. I would eat a full dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and by 9 o'clock, I'm starving to death. I'd make
Mm-hmm.
another sandwich, grab a bag of chips and an apple or whatever. I did almost another dinner, and I was starving. I said,
Mm-hmm.
I said, there's got to be something mental or something because I'd go to sleep, I'd wake up in the morning, and I'm never hungry in the morning. I said, now how can I eat dinner, wait 3 or 4 hours, and I'm starving, but yet I can
Right.
sleep all night long, wake up and not feel hungry. Well, then listening to everybody, it's insulin and what the insulin spikes do and all these things, and it makes you feel hungry and stuff like that. So that's why I thought this would never work for me, because I was always hungry at night.
Mm-hmm.
But I back in the day, that's what I would do. I would just kind of graze, eat, and it was one of those things where, remember, you need 3 square meals. Breakfast is the most important meal of the
Right.
day. In fact, I'd be with, when I was on different plans, like when I was losing that 106, I was an expert at that all of a sudden, and my friend would skip breakfast, and I said, you shouldn't do that. That's the most important meal of the day. And then here I found out I was wrong all these years. And
Right.
after living this lifestyle for quite a few months now, I can see how wrong I was. And this is definitely the way to go. But, I never really started to put on, as a kid, I was always fit. I
Mm-hmm.
used to work out a lot. I used to be able to, bench press 350 pounds and all that stuff. And I was always the first guy playing football or baseball or whatever it was. But when I got into my, probably later 20s, I could see it was starting to come out. Because, as you get older, your metabolism changes. And I would lose, one time I lost 30 pounds doing something. But I never got the way I was until probably in my 40s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's when it really started to pass. And that's when I went into this, I kind of went into it negatively, thinking, well, I'm in my 50s now. So the older you get, it's impossible to lose weight. And it's better than it ever was in my whole life. So I'm super stoked about it.
That's awesome. So, what are some challenges you still face with this?
Well, the really exciting thing is I don't have any like willpower challenges. I'm
Oh,
not
good. Yeah.
tempted and things like that. It's really crazy because going back to how I was always hungry at night, just a few hours after dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and I eat an early dinner. I eat about 4 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not kidding. 8, 9 o'clock. I don't even think about food. It's that whole insulin thing and all that stuff. I think but it is interesting. There's still quite a few naysayers out there,
Oh,
like I was 6 months ago. And I'll explain. People will say, "My goodness, what are you doing?" And I'll say, "Well, I'm into intermittent fasting. I've jumped on the old mad wagon and things like, oh, you better watch out. You're going to hurt. Your body's going to eat its own muscle and your head's going to fall off. Oh, all this crazy stuff, you know. And I said, well, you know what? I thought exactly the same way you did, but all I can suggest is do some research,
right.
find out for yourself what it's all about. So that's what I'm telling you.
That's awesome. Well, so on that, what is one piece of advice you would give to somebody else? They're out there, they're trying to lose weight, they're probably struggling a little bit. What would you tell them?
I would say don't give up. Just keep on plugging away, and don't be a slave to the scale, because
Mm.
I was ready for plateaus. I was ready to gain a pound here, and I did that before, and I knew what I was getting into. But when you start thinking about the physical benefits, it far outweighs the length of time that it takes,
Right.
because there are individuals out there, it maybe took them 2 or 3 years to reach their goal. But now that during that time, I'm sure there was ups and downs and kind of frustrations and things. I'm at this plateau for 4 or 5 weeks, but your body, that's a natural part of the process.
Right.
And I really learned that from you. I went through all your videos and I'm searching plateaus and things like that. And I realized, well, when this happens, I'm not going to be, disgusted about it. And I didn't have a big problem with that, fortunately. But just don't give up. Keep it rolling, and I would suggest do what I did. If you start to get a little bit discouraged, jump back on, look
Mm-hmm.
at some of those videos that you were encouraged about when you first looked at it, do some research on the medical benefits, and you'll get there. That's what I would tell them.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. If people would like to get in touch with you, is there a way they can do that?
They can reach out to me on my email, which
Okay.
is Brimare57, BRIMARE 57 at gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed that success story. If you have lost a significant amount of weight with intermittent fasting and you would like to share your story on this channel, please reach out to support@sixmilestosupper.com and we'll get you scheduled for an interview. If you're having trouble getting started on your weight loss journey, check out my Slow and Steady Success Academy. You can subscribe to the entire course collection, which includes monthly access to my flagship course, Intermittent Fasting for Weight Loss 101, which is the course on intermittent fasting that I wish I would have had when I first heard about it. You'll also get access to courses about mindset and maintenance and weight tracking. My goal with each course is to teach you how to lose weight sustainably and keep it off for the rest of your life. Come join the Academy today.